let's step into this week in auto
What are
history.
we stepping in?
Yeah, we're gonna step
We're
in.
stepping into this week in auto history, and we have some Ford stuff this week in auto history. In 1949, Ford began production of its first post-war design, and this has become an iconic, what they call the shoebox Ford, through the years, and quite desirable. But after World War II, it took them a couple of years to bring that design back, and that was Ford's. In 1948, Land Rover was unveiled for the first time at the Amsterdam Motor Show. Land Rover was developed as a result of a necessity when Maurice Wilkes, the Rover engineer, was unable to procure parts for his constantly breaking down World War II American Jeep while working on his farm in Wales. So he developed Land Rover, and since then this has become not just the safari vehicle of Wild Kingdom, it has become the luxury vehicle of the industry now.
I'd drive that.
Yep. In 1985, the legendary Ayrton Senna won his first of 41 Formula One victories, driving the Lotus Renault at the Portuguese Grand Prix in Estoril, Spain. Now, if you look at this car, I believe this car was the
Quintessential.
well, the quintessential, but it was also the I'm trying to think of the thought for the Bandit Trans Am car. This black and goldness. I think the John Player Special and the Trans Am Bandit are, there's a relationship between the two of them. In 1987, Chrysler Corporation purchased Lamborghini for an estimated $25 million. At the time, the performance automaker was experiencing financial difficulty and was under ownership of the Mirman brothers, and Chrysler sold it years later at quite a loss, and now it is part of the Volkswagen Group. Lamborghini is. In 1995, after producing about 6,900 cars, Lotus tuned Chevy Corvette ZR1 was ceased. The heart of the car was a Lotus-built LT5 V8 engine that was actually built by Mercury Marine in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Wow.
So they were building it. Had a very unique intake manifold. It had 4-valve per cylinder combustion chambers, 4 camshafts to control them. It could shut off half of the intake valves and fuel injectors when the engine was at part throttle. Originally, it was rated at 375 horsepower. The second year, they boosted that to 405 horsepower. Still quite the collectible vehicle out there in the industry are the ZR1 Corvettes. In 2004, the last Oldsmobile comes off the assembly line at the Lansing Assembly Plant in Michigan, signaling the end of a 160-year-old automotive brand, America's oldest at the time.
Of course, we had to get an old story in here.
The factory workers signed the last Oldsmobile and the Alero sedan before it was moved on to the Ransom Olds Museum. And to this day, I kick myself. I was in Detroit at a meeting, and a bunch of the guys went to Lansing Assembly, and they're in this picture, and I hung out in Detroit to drink.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a good place to do that.
And then in 2009, General Motors made the fateful announcement that they declared plans to phase out the Pontiac brand. The Pontiac heritage predates the brand by nearly 20 years because it first came out and it was called Oakland Motor Cars, founded in Pontiac, Michigan, in Oakland County, hence the name Oakland Motor Cars.
And you had to use the last shot of that with that vehicle. Nice.
Yeah. The Pontiac Aztec,
Mm-hmm.
truly the ugliest vehicle General Motors ever made. And
Perfect.
that is this week in automotive history.
Very good.